In San Francisco, and this afternoon the San Francisco 49ers host the Philadelphia Eagles on the NFL on Fox. Hello everyone, welcome to the NFL on Fox. I'm Sam Rosen along with Tim Ryan. Philadelphia Eagles have to stay close to the NFC East, but they've lost 2 in a row, and they go into today's game without perhaps the best all-purpose back in the NFL, Brian Westbrook.
Well, and without Brian Westbrook, other guys are going to have to step it up. And I think they're going to lean heavily on the arm of Donovan McNabb today. He's off to a good start. Correll Buckhalter, when the opportunity's there to run it, he's got to play well. And Deshaun Jackson really gives him strikeability offensively.
2 weeks ago, the 49ers were 2-1 and optimistic. Now they're 2-3, 2 bad losses, and there's some doubt now.
Well, there is doubt, but I think you fix it with a simple game plan. I think Frank Gore has got to be fed the football in this game today. He needs 25 touches. That will help the defense. That will help the quarterback in making some third downs manageable for J.T. O'Sullivan.
Both teams 2-3 and in bad need of a win. On the scoreboard, Washington was beaten in the last second by St. Louis. Rams get their first win of the season. Atlanta wins on a field goal last second.
Wow.
And Minnesota won on a field goal with 11 seconds to go. Minnesota and Chicago tied for first, NFC North. Joe Nedney with the kickoff. Back deep is Quinton Demps. He takes a knee, and the Eagles will start from the 20-yard line. And they start with their outstanding quarterback in his 10th season, Donovan McNabb. And he's got Correll Buckhalter at running back. Dan Klecko switches from defensive tackle to fullback with some injuries at wide receiver. Deshaun Jackson and Hank Baskett are the key men. The starting tight end, L.J. Smith. The offensive line still without the outstanding guard, Shawn Andrews. And that man, Max Gene Gillis, is in his place. See the numbers on Donovan McNabb. They start out with 3 wide receivers and McNabb in the shotgun. With time, he goes short and the ball is dropped. Most drops in the NFL, Philadelphia Eagles, that's number 15 on the season. Now for the 49ers, defensively, they mix up a 4-3, 3-4. Justin Smith has been consistent. The linebackers, Patrick Willis had 22 tackles last week. He's the leader. He'll wear the communication helmet. The cornerbacks had a rough game against New England last week. Nate Clements and Walt Harris, they have to bounce back. Buckhalter and Klecko in the backfield. Klecko the fullback. Off the play fake, McNabb plenty of time, goes to Klecko. Short gain, and he's dropped by Nate Clements and Paris Harrelson.
You said it on that first play, the drop by Deshaun Jackson. That was one point of emphasis coming into the game today, and talking to Andy Reid on Friday. He said way too many drops. And that's what's made our close losses tough, because our quarterback really has played well. That being Donovan McNabb, guys have got to make plays for him when they've got the opportunity, and that means Sam catching the football.
And there's the rookie out of Cal, Deshaun Jackson. Tight end Brent Selleck motions in. Big third down play for the Eagles. The pressure on Donovan McNabb. Gets rid of it, almost intercepted. Broken up by Terrell Brown. And it's 3 and out for the Eagles to start the game, and that's something they've been concerned about offensively.
Well, and they brought some pressure here. Paris Harrelson does a good job, and then a delayed blitz by the Mike linebacker up the middle forces Donovan to get rid of this ball. And Terrell Brown looks like he could have had a pick here. I mean, he does a good job of jumping this out route. Just can't hang on to the football.
Allen Rossum is deep. Sav Rocca's kick. Rossum from the 37. Has some room down the sideline. He picks up a big block, and Rossum is out of bounds inside the 20. Chris Gokon took him out. Great return by Allen Rossum. So the 49ers with a good start to the game.
Well, that's a shot in the arm this team needed. A big special teams play early in the game. Good block there by Goldson. Everybody sealing up the edge, playing smart. Delaney Walker right there with a good seal block. And Allen Rossum does what he does best. You know, historically, Sam Rossum's one of the best return men in the National Football League.
And Rossum stays on the field to in an offensive formation. They practiced him this week on offense. He splits out wide. By position, he is a defensive back. Rossum in motion. It's Frank Gore inside the 15 and down to the 12-yard line. By the way, that Rossum punt return was 46 yards.
I think we're going to see a lot of this personnel grouping today. You got 3 tight ends in the game right there, and then it's just a trap with Delaney Walker going up in front. That tells you it's a run. Just a trap with that tight end, and Gore's able to pick up about 5 or 6 yards.
2nd and 4. Bill Basham, the tight end motions. Gore comes the other way, and the Eagles with a good job. Good play by Trent Cole, the defensive end, slicing through to wrap up Frank Gore before he ever got started. It's a loss of a couple on the play, back to the 14.
One thing about this defense, and they're young now, and 6 of the 7 guys up front are under 28 in terms of the 7 guys in the box. There's defensive coordinator Jim Johnson, and historically his team, Sam, when their backs are against the wall, after a sudden change, they've been very, very good at holding teams to field goals rather than touchdowns.
49ers have to get to the 8 for a first down. Josh Morgan and Arnaz battle in at wide receiver. 3 wideouts, everybody out, and the pass is broken up. Intended for Josh Morgan and broken up by Asante Samuel.
Asante Samuel right here on Josh Morgan. He's going to run the in route. He's got to fight for this. I mean, he's got to come back to the football. It's almost like he got lazy there at the last second. Didn't come back to the ball because that was a pretty good throw from J.T. O'Sullivan.
Great coordinator matchups. Mike Martz, who you saw there, offensively for the 49ers. Jim Johnson, one of the great defensively. Joe Nedney from 32 yards out. Andy Lee, the holder, and the kick is good. Nedney is 11 for 13 this season. A good punt return by Alan Rossum sets up a field goal by Joe Nedney. Sam Rosen, Tim Ryan back in San Francisco. The key cover men, led by Michael Robinson.
You know what's wild is they're all offensive guys.
Yeah,
usually it's
right.
the DBs and linebackers. Their best cover guys are offensive guys here in San Francisco on special teams.
Wide receiver, running back, and tight end. And the ball fell off the tee. There's a lot of wind in the stadium. A lot of it is up high, but obviously it did affect the ball. There's the wind.
Oh, it's blowing now.
It swirls,
It's been blowing here all week, you bet. And it should be interesting. And I know McNabb's got a rocket strong arm, but how he cuts through the wind with the passing game today, because this will change trajectory of the football and the velocity.
Quentin Demps, rookie out of Texas El Paso, deep to receive the kickoff for the Eagles. Nedney with a strong leg. And Demps, 1 yard deep. Across the 20, gets a lane. Only Nedney to beat. And Nedney dragged him to the sideline. And then he finally is brought down at the 37-yard line. Quentin Demps with a great return. Deshaun Goldson finally pulled him down.
And it looks like Nedney's hurt, as he laid out and stretched out to slow down the return guy, Demps. He looks like he's got an injury. And he does save the touchdown here. Just a good little job by Demps. Going to follow his wedge right there. Good block by the wedge, and then a mean cut on Zach Kesey. Yeah, Nedney laid out, tried to hang on there, and his right shoulder, he came up with a problem, but did save the touchdown.
63-yard return for Quentin Demps. The Eagles in great position at the 49ers 37. Terrell Buckhalter cuts it back and fights his way down to the 32, a pickup of 5 on the play. The veteran Terrell Buckhalter, 8th season out of Nebraska. Good backup to Brian Westbrook.
Watch the movement here on the left side of the ball as they take Abrea Franklin and just drive him about 4 or 5 yards off the ball. Jamal Jackson and Todd Harriman's right there. Take the nose tackle 5 yards off. They need to use that size in the run game today. They've got a lot of it in Philadelphia.
See the career numbers on Correll Buckhalter. Brian Westbrook, they expect him to be back in 2 weeks. Next week is a bye for the Eagles. Buckhalter across the 30 to the 29. We get an update on the Cardinals and the Cowboys. Kurt Menefee with our first update. Thank you, Kurt. Arizona in first place. San Francisco a game behind in the NFC West. Tully Banta-Cain in at defensive end for the 49ers. Here's 3rd and 2. McNabb throwing, and a beautiful catch made by Hank Baskett at the 13-yard line. It's a first down. He was one-on-one with Mark Roman.
Oh, he went up high to get it. I wonder if he bobbled this as he went down and if it may be challenged. Terrific catch to go up and stretch out. Let's watch the ball as he comes down. It looks like it came loose. I will not be surprised if this thing gets challenged by Mike Nolan, and he should challenge it.
Well, they're lining up.
He's got to challenge this. He didn't see it.
There's no flag coming out. They get the play off. McNabb throws and completes to Greg Lewis, and he's out of bounds inside the 5-yard line.
Now that's a missed opportunity by Mike Nolan and his staff upstairs, because this is not a catch. I mean, he goes up, does basket. Now watch the ball move as he comes down. I mean, his elbow hits the ground.
You're
that
right.
ball comes
That's
loose.
Right.
That's no catch.
But they got the play off. There was no challenge, and the Eagles have a 2nd and 1 at the 4-yard line. Mike Nolan, who wears the suit and tie at home games. Correll Buckhalter and Dan Klecko in the backfield. And they try to get it out to Buckhalter. It was tipped. Good pressure on the play. Takeo Spikes, who had a big game last week, he's taken over at the starting linebacker position and has played very, very well for the 49ers. And against his former team, he only spent 1 year in Philadelphia, but he felt they didn't want him there.
Well, what did he say? And Andy Reid said he loved him. He did get hurt, had a shoulder injury last year, started 14 games, but Takeo told us it was a one-stop shop in Philadelphia last year.
Here is the Eagles' bugaboo. Short yardage. It's 3rd and 1. Buckhalter. He's got the first down to the 1-yard line. Good hole. Great job of blocking up front.
Yeah, watch Harriman's the left guard here. He's going to do a couple things. He's going to get push on the nose guard here, and then he's going to get to the backer. You see, he gets Sapuaga and then peels off and gets on the linebacker, which creates the crease inside. That's a real good job by the left guard.
Well, they've had these situations the last 2 weeks and failed to punch it in. It's 1st and goal at the 1. It cost them a game in Chicago. And last week they only got 3 points when they were down to the 1 against Washington in the 4th quarter. Buckhalter diving. He's in. Touchdown. Again, good push up front by the offensive line. Buckhalter dives in, and the Eagles have taken the lead. Buckhalter's 2nd rushing touchdown of the season.
Pretty good penetration by Abrea Franklin here. Low penetration, but Buckhalter's going to go right over the top of him there. He launched at the right time and propelled himself into the end zone.
So the Eagles get a great kickoff return from Quinton Demps, and they march in for the go-ahead score. Here's David Akers for the extra point try, and it's 7-3. The Eagles answer right back after the 49ers took the lead on a field goal. It's Correll Buckhalter. Eagles fans are also Phillies fans, and the Phillies are in action tonight right here on Fox. It's Game 3, National League Championship Series. The Phillies leading the Dodgers 2-0, and that follows the OT, which follows football. Jamie Moyer and Hiroki Kuroda, the pitchers for tonight's Game 3. A big one if the Phillies
getting a little hitting from their pitching staff.
Yeah.
How about that?
Myers did a good job. 3 hits yesterday. Alan Rossum on the return. He leads the NFC in kickoff returns. And right here he gets up to the 27-yard line, and he's pushed out of bounds. 20-yard return. 49ers. Back at Candlestick, we talked about this great matchup. Mike Martz and Jim Johnson, 2 great coordinators. And Mike Martz, 2-8 in his career matchups with Jim Johnson, outstanding defensive coordinator of the Eagles. J.T. O'Sullivan, who had a tough week last week. The good side, 3 touchdown passes. The bad side, 3 interceptions. Isaac Bruce in motion. Frank Gore, nice hole. Up to the 33-yard line, a pickup of 6. Stuart Bradley, the middle linebacker, made the tackle. Eagles are young on defense at the linebacker position, but good and aggressive and quick.
Well, they are, and here they actually get caught in a nickel defense. You got 2 tight ends on the field. We call it 12 personnel, 1 running back, 2 tight ends. You got 3 corners. 49ers are going to run at it, and they like their run chances if Philadelphia has 3 corners in the game rather than 3 linebackers.
It's Gore again, and another big hole. And Frank Gore up near midfield. The Eagles were gashed last week. We've got an update coming your way here on the Atlanta-Chicago Bears game. Kurt, what happened? Wow, hard to believe. What a wild finish. The Bears thought they had the game won. Frank Gore carrying again. Last week, as I started to say, the Eagles in the second half were badly gashed by the Washington Redskins running game.
And that has to be the plan today for San Francisco. I think you look at play selection, and in 5 plays, there's been 4 runs to 1 pass by the San Francisco 49ers. And they're really doing it out of that 2 tight end set, and there's 2 tight ends again on the football field here for the offense.
2 tights, 2 wides, and Frank Gore, the running back. Off the play fake, O'Sullivan swings it back to Vernon Davis, but they've got him behind the line of scrimmage. Good coverage by the Eagles. Davis has not been getting the ball much and hasn't been getting downfield. They've been keeping him in to block, but here they try to get him on the short pass on the other side. He looked right and you came back to the left side.
Well, and they run it right at the zone blitz. And Trent Cole was dropping off in coverage there, the defensive end. He and Quentin Michael, the safety, they read it the whole way.
And for the first
really
time this
wasn't
season,
a good play for that defense.
Sorry, Tim. Victor Abiamiri, number 95, is in on the defensive line. He's in a defensive tackle for the Eagles. Suffered a broken wrist in training camp. This is his first action. On 3rd down, they stop the play as the flags fly. And Trent Cole was the man who jumped across.
Offside. Defense number 58, unabated to the quarterback. A 5-yard penalty. Remains 3rd down.
You look at San Francisco a week ago on 3rd down.
Ooh.
Not good. 1 for 9 total. 3rd and 6 plus is a problem. 3rd and 6 plus will be a huge problem today against this Philadelphia defense, who loves to turn up the pressure. Even getting that 5-yard penalty, it's still 3rd and 7 right now for San Fran.
3 wide receivers in. Arnaz Battle in as the 3rd wide. Frank Gore in the backfield. Rush is O'Sullivan. Got rid of it to Vernon Davis. And he's got the 1st down. The big tight end, Vernon Davis. Outstanding play, and that's where he's dangerous. They got the ball to him. O'Sullivan, a great job of hanging in there under pressure.
Well, remember the last time the DN dropped. This time they are turning up the heat. The pass rush is coming, and it's coming hard right from here. And then watch the head of the quarterback. He's looking left, he's looking left, he's looking left. The last second as Clemens was rushing, he dumps it off to the tight end. good blocks downfield. That's one of the plays of the year so far for Vernon Davis.
24-yard pickup. 22 plays of 20 yards or more for the 49ers thus far this season. O'Sullivan faking, got it to Frank Gore. Inside the 20, still going down to the 14. Stuart Bradley took him down. 9-yard pickup. Well, Jim Johnson likes to bring pressure, and he will bring blitzes from every part of the field with every guy on the field. They have 18 sacks from 11 different people this season.
Well, there's answers for that too, and it's called the quick pass and the screen game. We've seen it over the last 2 plays. Real good plays by the QB. Here's a direct snap to Michael Robinson.
Michael Robinson, a former quarterback, but they stopped the play. False start against the 49ers. Trying to come up with some different kinds of plays.
False start. Offense. Illegal snap, number 66. 5-yard penalty. It remains second down.
And Mike Martz told us on Friday there's going to be a lot of new stuff in the offense this week. So they had their best week of practice by far. Things started to click. And so far, his young quarterback, who people forget, Sam, J.T. O'Sullivan's in his 6th start only as a QB, a starting QB. And so far in this game, he's got this Philly defense, this pressure package off balance.
Ball moved back to the 19-yard line. 2 tight ends in for the 49ers. With Delaney Walker lining up as a fullback. Now he shifts back to the right tight end position. Frank Gore, the running back. Eagles showing blitz. Here they come. O'Sullivan gets rid of it. And it's incomplete. Threw it behind Delaney Walker, who was well covered on the play by Joselio Hansen.
Well, there's going to be a huge personnel grouping, as we've talked about, the 2 tight end alignment. Again, 12 personnel is what you call it. 1 running back, 2 tight ends. And is it a DB or a linebacker covering them? And if it's a DB, they can certainly have the matchup in terms of running at it, because both of those tight ends are good blockers. That time, either Delaney didn't run the right route on Joselio Hansen, or the quarterback, J.T. O'Sullivan, just made a bad throw behind him.
Have to get down to the 13-yard line for a first down. 3 wide receivers in. Arnaz Battle in the 3rd wide. Drops it off. It's off the hands of Frank Gore. Trent Cole was coming in untouched to put pressure on J.T. O'Sullivan, and he dumped it off quickly to Frank Gore, and I don't know if Gore was ready for it.
Well, Chris Clemons has had a pretty good game here early on for Philadelphia. He hasn't played a lot, came over from the Raiders, and has had a couple of quick pressures on the quarterback.
Joe Nedney, who tried to make a tackle on the big return by Quentin Demps. Might have hurt his shoulder, but his leg seems to be fine. 37-yard field goal try out of Andy Lee's hold, and he puts it inside the upright. 2 for 2 is Joe Nedney. The Eagles still lead it. It's 7-6. Our man down on the sideline today is Don Tollefson. Don, what's up?
Hey, Sam, Joe Nedney really gutting it out. That left shoulder he hurt while making a tackle, really bothering him. It's a shoulder strain, but they're saying he'll stay in the game. He kicked effectively a moment ago. Don't know if he'll try to tackle here, but he's really grimacing on the sidelines talking to the doctors.
You're right, Don. Stay away from trying to make tackles. Good kick, though. Demp steps up to the 4-yard line. And this time the 49ers have him well covered as he crossed the 20. And a 63-yard return earlier. The Eagles have a 7-6 lead and come out on offense when we come back. Play he'd love to play, but he's hurting too much, and they left him home.
Well, and you see there the record with Brian Westbrook, the record without, and then the 3rd down conversions. And that's the money down in the league. Westbrook, arguably, top 3 playmaker in all of pro football.
And Klecko, the fullback, the play fake by McNabb, wants to go deep, fires and completes it to Greg Lewis up at the 35-yard line.
And here's where I think you can see McNabb is healthy. The torque that he's got on the football, and we've seen it all season. I think you can go back to the last 3 games last year, but watch how he torques. It all starts with the legs. It's like anything. Starts with those legs, pushes off, and that ball has got some big-time heat and rotations on it to Greg Lewis on the curl route.
I don't know if McNabb had trouble getting the play in, but he went toward the sideline to get the call. Jason Avant and Hank Baskett are in, 3 wide receivers. DeSean Jackson in motion. It's Jackson, but didn't get much going. 49ers had it well covered. Pickup of a yard. Isaac Salpoaga with the tackle. DeSean Jackson was passed on by the San Francisco 49ers. He played in this area at California. He dropped a little in the draft in the second round. 49ers thought about taking him, passed him up.
What did Andy Reid say? He said he's a real good kid. He said, you know, he's like a little brother to a lot of our veterans. I know Donovan McNabb has been huge in terms of being instrumental in trying to get him to live like a pro, forcing him to be there early in the morning. Has been a big part of his early career.
Lorenzo Booker in the backfield for the Eagles. McNabb throws, beautiful leaping catch by Hank Baskett. So Baskett getting a chance to play with the injury to Reggie Brown. Kevin Curtis still not ready, quite ready.
And Baskett is a big body. You're just going to see him come against the zone right inside. He'll shield off the corner with that body and then go up. We've seen him now twice go up high to capture the football.
Kevin Curtis, who has not played yet after having sports hernia surgery, is real close. Should be ready after the bye. Buckhalter straight ahead. They've got Dan Klecko in at fullback. The Eagles have been looking for a pure fullback. They don't have that man. Tony Hunt had been the fullback. Klecko, who was brought in originally as a fullback experiment, switched to defensive tackle, had a couple of sacks as a defensive tackle, now is back at fullback.
Well, and he's clearly the best they've got at blocking. That's not Tony Hunt's forte in terms of the draft pick from a couple years ago out of Penn State. Klecko is short, quick, and thick, and is actually pretty good on leading up on those isolation plays for his tailback.
2nd and 7 for the Eagles. McNabb backs off and checks off. Buckhalter and Klecko in the backfield. Short drop. Outside the grab by Jackson as he's out of bounds at the 46-yard line. Walt Harris covering on the play. DeSean Jackson, the rookie, leading the Eagles in receiving yardage. The 49ers in their losses have been on the field a lot. Part of that is due to the offensive failures, and part is unable to stop on 3rd down.
That's right. It's a big 3rd down here. 3rd and somewhat manageable at about 6 or 7 for Philadelphia.
Tully Banta-Cain in at defensive end for San Francisco. Time for McNabb, and he finds his man. It's a 1st down inside the 35-yard line. Jason Avant with the grab. And there again, the struggles for the 49ers defense. Eagles are now 3 for 4 on 3rd down conversions. 16-yard pickup.
Yeah, that's a real good job by the receiver. He had Walt Harris spun around. You're going to see him, Avant, come over the middle of the field here. Walt Harris was in a trail position, never even saw the ball coming. That's where Andy Reid said Avant is really, really good over the middle of the field.
3 wide receivers. They split the tight end. L.J. Smith goes screen pass to Buckhalter, and he got plenty of room and charges down inside the 10 to the 9-yard line. Michael Lewis, the former Eagle, made the tackle, but a good play by Correll Buckhalter.
Real good play right here by the right guard, Max Gene Gillis. Watch him in open field chop down Patrick Willis. On the screen, they rush 5, which means there's only 6 back. There's the beautiful chop block to open up the lane. Watch this coming right at you. Pow, Buckhalter, big pickup.
25-yard gain as we come down to the final seconds of the 1st quarter. And the teams will let the final seconds tick off. The Eagles fell behind early after a good return and a field goal by San Francisco. But they got a good return to set up their touchdown, and now they're threatening again. It's 7-6, end of the 1st. Sam Rosen, Tim Ryan's on Tollefson back in San Francisco. What's that big number you're circling?
Well, almost 9 minutes. The defense was on the field for the 1st quarter, and that's the bad trend you were talking about a couple of minutes ago. For example, the longer you're on the field, the more you're going to wear down and the more opportunities the offense has at you. Last week against New England dialed up 80 plays against the San Francisco defense.
1st and goal. McNabb outside. DeSean Jackson fights his way down to the 3-yard line. And that was Donovan McNabb's 12th pass of the game. And that makes him the all-time leader in pass attempts in Eagles history, passing Ron Jaworski.
Well, we told you he was going to throw a lot today. He's thrown a lot in his career. That's a good job by Ray McDonald. They just let him go with the inside pressure and able to have a lot of guys rallying over to the sides for a minimal pickup.
McNabb 8 for 12. And you see the numbers. This is the 9th play of the drive. 2nd and goal. What call for shifting? The tight end L.J. Smith split way out left. McNabb rolls right, throwing, and it's incomplete. DeSean Jackson with no room along the sideline, well covered by Walt Harris.
Really good coverage by Walt Harris. Year 13, the old dog can still hunt. Here he is, right here. He's going to be man for man on DeSean Jackson. He's playing him the whole way. I mean, and back here too, Nate Clements. Good coverage by both corners there.
There is 3rd and goal inside the 3 for the Eagles, with 2 tight ends in. Short drop, the fade, and the grab by Baskett. Did he get both feet down? Yes, say the officials. Touchdown, Eagles. 6'4" Hank Baskett went up and made a beautiful grab against Walt Harris. And Mike Nolan very upset.
Like the play call, 6'4" against 5'11". Walt Harris never saw it. Now he's going to try to break the arms up. There's one down. Yeah, he got both feet down.
Just got it in.
That's just the old traditional fade route. 1 foot down, 2 foot down, touchdown, and he hung onto the football.
Great job by Baskett. David Akers with the extra point. 78-yard drive for the Eagles. They mixed it up well, and Donovan McNabb has been on target. You were right about the Eagles throwing the football.
Well, and you see the play selection right there. 14 pass to 6 rush. There's Marty Morton-Henwig right behind Jim Johnson. There he is there. Marty's the offensive coordinator and has done a good job play calling. He and Andy Reid mix it up, and they are certainly leaning heavily on number 5 here early in this game.
Allen Rossum on the return from the 3. Trying to get outside, and he does. There's another good return. There's a flag back, and they may bring that back. Good return by Rossum up to the 34-yard line. Rossum coming into the game, leading the NFC in kickoff returns. Looks like a hold. Ron Winter is our referee.
Offense number 24 during the return. 10-yard penalty. First down.
It's Michael Robinson on the hold. And this Tuesday on Fox, don't miss an all-new episode of the most talked about new series of the season, Fringe. Tim loves it. He'll give you all the great reviews. It's presented with limited commercials. Imagine the impossibilities. This Tuesday at 9, 8 Central, right after an all-new house, only on Fox. Viewer discretion is advised.
Here's the penalty on Michael Robinson, and not really a good call. I mean, the hold there on Greg Lewis. He looked like he extended out, and Lewis just fell down.
You think he fell down, or maybe he pulled him a little bit?
What did I say? Trying to talk me out.
From the 11, Frank Gore bouncing it outside, flag on the play. As Gore gets up to the 15, Stuart Bradley, the middle linebacker, second-year man out of Nebraska, making the tackle. We'll check out the flag.
Yeah, they'll get a hold on Vernon Davis, I think, here.
Holding. Offense number 85. Penalized half the distance to the goal. Repeat, first down.
You got the call.
And anytime it's at the point of attack, and the ball went right behind Vernon Davis there, and he holds Omar Gaither. Here's Gaither here. Here's Vernon Davis. He's coming in motion. See, the ball pounces there. The ref's going to get that one every time. He contorted the upper body of the defender.
49ers come out with 3 tight ends. Delaney Walker, Billy Badgerman, and Vernon Davis as they go from just about their 5-yard line. Frank Gore powers his way up to the 10. Brought down. Lead block Delaney Walker on the play. Good job by Walker. Well, they're feeding Frank Gore.
And they have to. He's #1 in the league in yards per touch.
And they're trying to stay away from that pressure on J.T. O'Sullivan and not put too much on his shoulders.
Well, and here what you're doing, and we talked about it just a minute ago, look at the time go down. You're giving your defense a rest. And those guys got to get a breather over on the sideline.
Michael Robinson is in the backfield, along with Frank Gore. On second down, O'Sullivan with time drops it off out of the backfield. Robinson, and he's up close to the first down. He's got enough. Michael Robinson, the third-year man out of Penn State, usually known for his special teams play, here getting a chance coming out of the backfield.
Well, Mike Martz said we were going to see a little more of him at running back and or fullback today, and he's there, 24. He's just going to leak right out in the middle, and then the linebackers missed the tackle. Stuart Bradley's got to make that tackle. The linebackers for Philadelphia did not play their best game last week against the Washington Redskins, and that's one area Jim Johnson said they've got to improve today against San Francisco with the tight ends and the running backs in the intermediate route.
3 wide receivers for the 49ers. That was Michael Robinson's first reception of the season. Here's Gore. Squirting through the hole. Did a nice job. There wasn't much of a hole, but he found it. Get up close to the 29-yard line. Trent Cole made the tackle for the Eagles.
And talking about Jim Johnson, the defensive coordinator, one area and all over the field, he'll blitz you now and he'll send pressure. But the closer you get to his end zone, which is down here, and they're sitting right now about the 30-yard line, so you're going to see about them blitz about 40% of the time. The closer they get, as you see here, to the goal line and get points, the more Jim Johnson is going to dial up the pressure.
2 tight ends in for the 49ers. On 2nd and 3, it's Frank Gore getting a block and getting across the 30 up to the 32. And let's see where the spot might be just short. Very close. Omar Gaither made the stop.
Just told you about the pressure and that they send it. Watch Bradley right here. He comes on a Mike blitz right up into the gap. Omar Gaither was a little cross dog coming the other way, so Jim Johnson holding true. Even against the run, he is going to run blitz it and send pressure.
And Frank Gore getting plenty of work to start the game. 8 carries, 40 yards. 3 tight ends in. It was enough for the first down. And it's Gore. It's up to the 35, across the 35-yard line. Jaquay Parker made the tackle. Parker didn't practice much of the week, had some fluid on the knee. They drained it, and he's out there starting.
He's a good player. He's just finally getting an opportunity to play. I mean, he was down in Tennessee, didn't play a lot, but I always considered him a finisher. When he got to Philadelphia, he actually sat for a while and didn't get in the mix. But the more he's played, the more you've seen his splash ability in terms of making big plays. It's gone up.
A lot of shifting by the 49ers, with Michael Robinson in the backfield along with Frank Gore. And Gore tossed it, gets the toss from Robinson. They hand it to Robinson, and he tossed it to Gore. There's a little razzle-dazzle from Mike Martz.
Well, that's some of the new stuff that he talked about, that being Mike Martz. So we got a lot of new stuff in our package this week, and that will have Michael Robinson playing fullback, which he does right here. Just a little flip out to Frank Gore. It's an option with the fullback instead of using the quarterback. He ran a lot of that at Penn State.
3rd and 1. Deshaun Foster is in for San Francisco. Billy Badgerma in motion. Foster takes the toss. He follows Delaney Walker. And I don't know if he got enough. He got up to the 42-yard line. Let's see where the spot is. I think he's a little bit short.
Yeah, I do too, from where the line judge is spotting this football.
It's going to be a little bit short. Andy Reid's right on it on the far sideline, checking out. It's short, about half a yard. So now, what will Mike Nolan decide on 4th down?
He's going to punt it.
Yep. Fans don't like it. Andy Lee comes out. Andy Reid cautioning his players not to go offside.
Well, he's telling
here.
them punt safe. They'll keep their defense on the field. They won't put their punt return unit out there. They'll keep their defense out there. They don't have enough players on the field right now unless they bring someone out. Okay, here they come.
A delay of game against the 49ers pushes them back. Now the Eagles put their punt return unit on the field. Andy Lee, who had an 82-yard punt last week against New England, ties for the second longest in 49ers history. There's Deshaun Jackson back deep, and he had a 68-yard return for a touchdown against the Redskins last week.
Oh, he's electric now. He has a Pac-10 record, 6 returns for touchdowns in college.
Good punt by Lee. Deshaun Jackson takes a look and brings it back.
Here he goes.
Nice return up to the 37-yard line by Deshaun Jackson. Eagles defense stiffened against the 49ers, and they get the ball back with an 8-point lead. It's a pressure time for Andy Reid and Mike Nolan. Reid's team is 2-3. Washington lost today. They're 4-2. Dallas is 4-1. Giants are 4-0. Tough division. For Mike Nolan, his team has gone south the last 2 weeks. He's got to get that turned around. Eagles start from the 36 after a 20-yard punt return by Deshaun Jackson. Buckhalter and Pucko in the backfield. Donovan McNabb 9 for 14 thus far in the game. Plenty of time. Wide open is Deshaun Jackson inside the 49ers 40 to the 38-yard line.
Watch Big Trey Thomas here blocking Justin Smith right here on the edge. It's going to be a tough row to hoe now for these guys. And now you see him move inside there on the center, Jamal Jackson. That offensive line, 10 sacks all year is all they've given up for Philadelphia. Very good at providing protection for Donovan McNabb.
Off the fake, McNabb throws a little low and wide of Hank Baskett. Donovan McNabb knows that this is an important time for the Eagles. He called the players-only meeting early in the week just to let them know that it was getting down to serious time.
And there's still so much football left to be played, but I think you got to consider the strength of the division. And when you look at the NFC East and how good collectively that division is, they got to win now.
Buckhalter cuts it back and fights his way down to about the 33-yard line. That'll bring up a 3rd and 5. And Correll Buckhalter has done a nice job thus far in place of the injured Brian Westbrook.
You know, his career, he has been through so much with his injuries and with his knees. And really, whenever he's had opportunity, he's been a good back. He's rushed for about 4.5 yards a carry throughout his career. Philadelphia stuck with him despite all of his injuries. Now he's getting this opportunity. He's got to make the most of it.
3 wide receivers. Eagles are 4 for 5 on 3rd down conversions in the game. Looked like Tully Banta-Cain jumped across. Here's Jackson. He got it, and he was inbounds. Beautiful catch by Deshaun Jackson. And he's out of bounds at the 7-yard line.
Well, you got to like this matchup. The rookie Deshaun Jackson against Terrell Brown. Watch this veteran move. Watch how late he shows his hands. He did not show his hands to the corner until the ball was right in front of him. See, what happens with receivers is they show those hands early. That's the cue for the corner to turn and locate the ball. He didn't show the hands till late in the corner, never turned his head, and he makes a nice catch.
He wanted to have a big game coming back to the Bay Area. He's had 3 catches, and now that catch is being challenged by Mike Nolan and the San Francisco 49ers. If it stands, it's a 26-yard gain. He's yelling at Tully Banta-Cain for jumping across offside.
Cisco's challenge the ruling on the
Stick Park. This is being challenged now. Here is Deshaun Jackson. There's the grab. Right foot down, left foot coming down.
That's a catch, and it was called a catch on the field, so it even magnifies that to me that it's a catch on review. Now it's close. Is the right foot down, and does he have control? I think he does, And then, of course, the left one comes down inbounds. You can see the referee all over it back there. I think they're going to keep this a catch and not overturn it.
DeSean Jackson has had himself a nice start to the game. 3 catches, 59 yards. And Donovan McNabb, who needed a big game and wanted a big game for his team to lead his team, has played very well. Here comes Ron Winter with the official decision on the challenge.
After review, the ruling on the field stands. The receiver had possession of the ball, got 2 feet inbounds. The ball was out of bounds at the 6-yard line. San Francisco is charged with a team timeout. Please reset the play clock to 18 seconds.
They have spotted the ball at the 49ers 6-yard line.
Look at this. Look at this in the level 3 zone, which you look at the passing zone 0 to 5 is zone 1, 6 to 14 zone 2, and then the big ones 15 to the end zone zone 3. McNabb 4 for 4 here in the first half. 11 for 17, 153 yards thus far in the game. I guess his philosophy here in San Francisco, if it's blowing, I'm throwing.
First and goal. The draw play, Buckhalter. And the 49ers wrap him up at the 3-yard line, led by Patrick Willis.
And they're going to lean. I don't think enough people run the ball down in the red zone. They're going to lean on this offensive line. I mean, just look at that push. Now, it's good fill by the linebackers in the secondary, but they took that off that defensive line just with sheer size and mass and pushed them about 5 yards off the ball. And I think that's one area when people get down into the red zone, they don't run the football enough. Everybody wants to get cute and throw it.
Eagles have Dan Klecko in at fullback along with Correll Buckhalter, 2 wide receivers. McNabb still got it. Being chased, he throws, and it's off the hands of Buckhalter, who is covered well by Paris Harrelson on the play. It'll bring up a 3rd and goal for the Eagles.
And this is one of those little cute plays that I'm talking about, that last one. Now, these are the problems, Sam, they've had on short yardage.
Well, against Chicago, they were down by 4 points. 3 times they went straight ahead and couldn't punch it in. Last week on a 2nd and 1, they came up short, tried again, and were thrown for loss. Had to settle for a field goal rather than a touchdown. 3 wide receivers in. Hank Baskett in as the 3rd. They split the tight end as well. Off the fake, quick out to Jackson, and he's taken down. He lost the football, but got it back at the 1-yard line. So they tried a little something different with a quick pass out to DeSean Jackson.
Really good play by Mark Roman. Watch here, number 26, the safety. I mean, he's going to sniff this out the whole way. And able to get in there and force. See, he's the force guy. As the safety, he's got to force it back into his help. That's what he does because he read the play the whole way and then allowed Deshaun Goldson to come pick it up and make the tackle short of the goal line.
So the Eagles, who had a 1st and goal at the 6, will settle for a field goal try here. David Akers from 19 yards. Sam Rocco the holder, and it's right through. Now the Eagles, who came into the game with the most points scored in the first half in the NFL, 89, have put up 17 here in the first half.
Love watching this. Here's a great one in Mike Singletary, Hall of Fame linebacker, talking to a good one in Patrick Willis, the young linebacker, who I think is going to have a terrific career in pro football. Defensive Rookie of the Year last year. Sam had 22 tackles last week. Did Patrick Willis.
Akers kickoff. Alan Rossum on the return from the 3. And he's brought down as he gets to the 30. The ball came loose. The whistle blows. And I believe they've ruled the ball down. They have at the 28-yard line. So the 49ers trailing 17-6. They've got to get something going on offense. Good first half for Donovan McNabb. He has been sharp with his passes.
Well, and it's been all over the field. He's 12 of 19 for 156 yards. You see a couple over the middle of the field to the sidelines. Another one over the middle to Deshaun Jackson. This big one to Deshaun Jackson. I mean, he's really spread it around. And then he's hit the 3 levels of the passing game. You look at right there in level 1, 0 to 5. We talked about this earlier. Level 2, 6 to 14. And then 15 plus is level 3. He's hit all the zones today.
49ers start from the 28-yard line. J.T. O'Sullivan with time kind of slings it out. Incomplete. Some late pressure. And O'Sullivan just 4 for 8, getting back to Donovan McNabb in those 3 levels.
Yeah, and he's done it everywhere. He's mixed it up short, he's mixed it up medium and deep, and been very, very active deep. And again, they've been on the sidelines, they've been in the middle of the field. He is playing at such a high level. And new coming in with their injuries on offense, without their best player, Brian Westbrook, they would lean a lot on number 5, and they have.
His passer rating right now is at 107. Which tells you he's having a strong game. 2 tight ends in for the 49ers. Eagles showing blitz. Here they come. Quick toss to Vernon Davis, and he shoved back as he got to the 33-yard line. Good play by Brian Dawkins and Quentin Michael.
And I like this little quick stuff because we haven't seen a lot of this from Vernon Davis, and I like the game plan. If they're going to pressure you, you got to do 3-step and get it out. And they do that time to Vernon Davis. That's called a hot read, is what it's called. And that's going to be the open guy versus the blitz that Philadelphia dialed up. Good play call, good adjustment by the quarterback and the tight end. The execution was okay for a 5-yard pickup.
And now here comes a big 3rd down for the 49ers. They're 1 for 4. They have 3 wide receivers in. Arnaz Battle the 3rd. Everybody out. O'Sullivan takes off. And he gets up to the 42-yard line. It's a 1st down. So J.T. O'Sullivan, who at times has been reluctant to take off and run, has ran for the 1st down. Good heads-up play.
Well, and I think Mike Martz has encouraged him to. I mean, they do a good job, the O-line, of picking up this heavy blitz package. You're going to see 6 guys come up in the box right here, and J.T. O'Sullivan sees a crease and takes it. And Mike Martz talked about that Friday with us. He said, you know, J.T. is a guy that can make plays with his legs across the line of scrimmage. And when he gets that opportunity, he needs to roll with it. He did that time for a 1st down.
Jason Hill, number 89, in at wide receiver for the 49ers, who go empty backfield. Now Arnaz Battle shifts, and they swing it out to Battle. He's one-on-one with Michael, and a good tackle by the safety, Quentin Michael.
He's an underrated player, Quentin Michael. I know he came as a college free agent, made his hay on special teams, was a 2-time MVP here with Philadelphia on special teams. But the more he stayed here and special teams kept him around, the more opportunity he's got at safety. He's the leading tackler on their defense. All 5 games this year, he's in double-digit tackles. He's a good player, Sam, that nobody talks about.
And he stepped in after Michael Lewis was let go, and Michael Lewis came to San Francisco. Frank Gore in the backfield. O'Sullivan now being pressured, stepping up, nobody open. And he takes off again. And a good pickup in Eagles territory. He's got a 1st down at the 46-yard line. We've reached the 2-minute warning. The 49ers are down, but J.T. O'Sullivan trying to run them.
Eagles fly on the road to victory. Fly, Eagles fly for a touchdown, 1, 2, 3.
Oh man, that's having a good time. Well, come all the way out to San Francisco. Good deal on the Donovan McNabb
Make
jerseys.
sure and wear your 5 jersey today.
It's a man from Syracuse. I got to wear the 5. Now the 49ers trying to find a way to more points. 1st down at the Eagles 46 as the wind picks up. Quick to Arnaz Battle. And it's a 1st down to the 33-yard line. Good quick stuff.
No, real good stuff and a good game plan. And you look here what they've done offensively. Tight ends have gotten 10 of those 24 plays, and it's all with the quick stuff. It's what you do against this defense. It's the answers that are provided against Philly's pressure package.
And the flags fly. False start against the 49ers as they tried the no-huddle offense.
False start. Offense number 65. A 5-yard penalty It remains first down.
It's on the right tackle, Barry Sims, who is still in there for the injured Jonas Jennings. Jennings is expected to start practicing this week. Fifth penalty of the game for the 49ers. That last completion to Arnaz Battle, only the second completion to a wide receiver for JT O'Sullivan. Swings it out. The ball is tipped. Caught by Gore. Dives forward to the 38-yard line. Back to the line of scrimmage. Will bring up a 2nd and 15 for the 49ers.
Well, they're really helping their quarterback out, Mike Martz is, just with his game plan and allowing him to get all the screen game going, the swing passes, the quick passes, the hot reads. And, you know, JT hasn't played real good in the last couple weeks, and the pressure has gotten to him, and thus you've seen the turnovers. So he's making it easier on him today simply by good play calling.
They haven't challenged the Eagles deep. Let's see. They stop the play again. As the flags fly and a false start.
False start. Offense number 85. Because the clock was running inside of 1 minute, this penalty also requires a 10-second runoff.
Wow. That hurts two ways. Moves the 49ers back. Joe Nedney standing by. 4 wide receivers in for the 49ers. They lose 10 seconds on the clock. They still have 2 timeouts remaining.
Now, they could have used one of those timeouts to preserve that 10 seconds if they wanted to.
10-second runoff. Please reset the game clock to 48 seconds. Thank you.
So that I believe they did use the timeout.
They did. You can use the timeout to preserve that 10-second runoff. That's what you do.
So 1 timeout remaining for the 49ers. Eagles in recent games, actually all season long, have had difficulty covering the tight ends. Early in the season, Jason Witten of the Dallas Cowboys beat him deep. In the game in Chicago, Greg Olsen got loose and made a great catch for a touchdown. And then last week, Chris Cooley of the Redskins had a big game against the Eagles.
Yeah, he did. And you think about where Philadelphia is extremely young. It's all those linebackers. They're all under 24 years old. And I think Mike Martz certainly picked that up in his film study. And watching how their own division plays them. And that's using a lot of tight end, 2 tight end stuff. And there's the 2 tight ends right there that have been a big part of this game plan.
They've got him off the field now with 4 wide receivers in. On 2nd down, O'Sullivan steps up, and he's got a man completing it to Isaac Bruce, his first catch of the game down to the 35-yard line.
What's going on here?
Timeout. San Francisco. Their 3rd and final team timeout.
Well, that started at 48 seconds and never started ticking when the play started.
The scoreboard clock, one end zone, has 41 seconds, so I think they'll be able to readjust that. There are 41 seconds up on the scoreboard clock. Don't forget, at halftime, we've got the Visa halftime report. Kurt, Terry, Howie, Michael, and Jimmy have all the scores. Look at the highlights from around the league. We've got the Fox Sports ticker to get you up to date on all your fantasy league teams. There was some great finishes in the early games with St. Louis coming up with their first win of the season for new interim head coach Jim Haslett.
Minnesota with a late kick for a win.
Boy.
How about Atlanta's late kick for a win?
That was a wild game, and Minnesota and Chicago now tied for first place. We'll see those 2 teams next week, you and I. O'Sullivan, pressure, gets loose. And finally throws it away. Thought about running, didn't have much room, and then threw it away. Jaquay Parker with good pressure on JT O'Sullivan, who came into the game having been sacked 20 times, more than any other quarterback in the NFL, and has gotten decent protection.
Well, I think it started last week. Now, there was decent pressure on him from New England, but the offensive line only gave up 1 sack, and that was a big difference from the week before against New Orleans, when really that pressure and those sacks on the quarterback changed the game.
Joe Nedney will attempt a 53-yarder. That would be a season long. The season long to this point has been 49 out of the hold of Andy Lee. The kick is on the way. And it is good. Nedney with just enough leg, a 53-yarder. Well, the shoulder may be hurting, but the leg isn't.
And he was booming these in warm-ups and dead into the wind here. The wind has been swirling, and that's just a yard over the crossbar.
His 12th career field goal of 50 yards or more.
See how all the shakes are coming with the right hand, though?
That's right. If you joined us late, Joe Nedney attempted a tackle on a kickoff return by Quinton Demps of the Philadelphia Eagles, and as he grabbed Demps, he hurt his left shoulder. Nedney went down, but he is hung in there. Looks like he's in a little bit of pain.
Yeah, bothering him, just putting the tee down.
But the leg has been good. Earlier today, Drew Brees led New Orleans to a big win over Oakland. Clinton Portis with another strong game, but Washington came up short against St. Louis. And Bernard Berrien with a strong game as Minnesota came back to beat Detroit, and the Lions are still winless this season. Nedney with the kick. Demps backs up, was expecting a short one, goes back into the end zone and takes a knee. 29 seconds to go. Eagles have 3 timeouts remaining and a 17-9 lead. Tuesday at 8/7 Central. Don't miss an all-new episode of the Emmy Award-winning series House. It is the best. Fox Tuesday is all new, all night, starting with House at 8/7 Central, right here only on Fox. Viewer discretion is advised. Laurie, one of the best actors around.
He's got a PI working for him now.
Yeah?
A private investigator. Sam, you better watch your back.
All right, let's see what the Eagles do to finish this first half. 3 wide receivers in. Buckhalter. And pushes his way up to the 28-yard line. Terrell Buckhalter's 8th carry of the game. 8 carries, 31 yards. Donovan McNabb, 12 for 19, 156 yards and 1 touchdown. And the Eagles call a timeout. 20 seconds remaining in the first half. Eagles have had some wild games here in San Francisco. Last meeting here was 2 years ago, week 3. And Donovan McNabb let it fly. 50-yard pass play, 60-yard pass play, 71-yard run by Brian Westbrook. And then look, the big man, Mike Patterson, 98-yard fumble recovery, return for a touchdown. Patterson said this week, if that happens again, I'm finding somebody to lateral to. 4 wide receivers in for the Eagles. And McNabb looks to put it up, goes short to Buckhalter. Spins and is taken down by Walt Harris. The Eagles use another timeout. It's been a good first half for the Eagles. Defensively, they've given up 3 field goals. 1 came after a real good punt return by Allen Rossum. So defensively, they've done a good job. And offensively, they put up 17 points. Now, the big problem for the Eagles in recent games has been second-half scoring.
That's right. They haven't scored a second-half touchdown, I don't think, since week 2. Right? I mean, the last time they did it was week 2.
Now for the 49ers, they got to find a way to put the ball in the end zone. On first down. McNabb looking. Will he take a shot? Yes, he wants to take one and gets it up to midfield. And stepping out of bounds, Greg Lewis. Lewis with his 3rd catch of the game, 16-yard pickup. So now, only 9 seconds remaining. The Eagles have 1 timeout remaining, so let's see if they can get into position to maybe take a long field goal.
Yeah, well, there's
try.
a couple things. You got if you're going to take a shot, it's got to be a quick shot, and it's got to be right on the sideline so they can get out of bounds with no timeouts left.
David Akers, who has had his problems recently with long field goal attempts, but ready to go. Buckhalter is in the backfield. McNabb gets pressure and shovels it out to Buckhalter. Buckhalter down close to the 35-yard line. There's 1 second on the clock, and they get the timeout. So now we will have a long field goal try. Andy Reid sends David Akers out. Akers has missed his last 9 tries from 45 yards or longer.
See if McNabb's over the line of scrimmage here, right on the 50. Good pressure up inside. Now he's got to get up. He's going to throw this out. No, he's right there.
He's okay.
It looked like the ball was definitely behind the line of scrimmage when he threw it out there to Buckhalter.
Akers has been kicking the ball strong, but he has been missing. So let's see, as the Eagles, David Akers from 54 yards. John Dornbos is the long snapper, and the kick is blocked. And recovered by the 49ers, who take it in for a touchdown. Donald Strickland. What a turnaround.
And that's the problem with kicking the long ones, especially late, is the trajectory is low because he's trying to bomb it. Watch 91, Ray Edwards right up inside. He goes up and blocks it. Now it's Donald Strickland, gets it on the good bounce, takes it back for 6 points. That's why you always worry about kicking those long ones. Now there's a lot of new life in these San Francisco 49ers.
Does that ever change things? The 49ers will get the ball to start the second half. Joe Nedney for the extra point. And suddenly, the first half ends in a 1-point game.
Ray McDonald right up the gut for the big block.
The San Francisco 49ers with the big block. The coach looking on. They love it on the return for the touchdown.
I like their game plan. I really do, and I think the guys in the studio are all over it. Mike Martz has gone to a short passing attack. He has fed Frank Gore in this football game, which I think is the right thing to do against this pressure package that Philadelphia defensively are going to continue to throw at him.
David Akers kicks it off. Allen Rossum steps up to the 4. Rossum ran into his own man and then gets wrestled down as he crosses the 20-yard line. Our man down on the sideline is Don Tollefson. What's your halftime report, Don?
Well, I talked to Mike Nolan. He says it is very important to build on the momentum of the big play that ended the half and get into the end zone. Talked, though, about the toughness of Joe Nedney and said, yeah, J.T. O'Sullivan can use his legs effectively a little bit more. Andy Reid, very impressed with Donovan McNabb. Talked about the fact that he's getting those longer passes and doing a nice job. Like you guys said, when it's blowing, he's flowing. And by the way, the wind picking up a little bit more on the field, fellas. Back to you, Sam.
We'll watch for that, Don. Thanks very much. 49ers with 2 tight ends. O'Sullivan with time. Wings it, and a very nice catch on the play by Isaac Bruce. Took a hard hit from Brian Dawkins, but O'Sullivan, first play of the second half, sends it downfield to Isaac Bruce.
That was that classic deep in route that Mike Martz has dialed up over the years. Look at time of possession as San Francisco in the second quarter took control. We'll see if that can provide dividends for their defense in the second half, finally getting a little bit of rest.
Pickup of 21. Lito Shepherd comes on for the Eagles. 5 defensive backs in. Off the play fake, O'Sullivan. A little screen pass. The tight end screen doesn't work. Eagles all over that play. Never got going. Led by Stuart Bradley, the middle linebacker, number 55. And Jaquay Parker was the man who put pressure on J.T. O'Sullivan. Might have even got a little piece of that screen pass. O'Sullivan.
He's playing good today, and I think the key is J.T. O'Sullivan, no turnovers in the football game. 5 interceptions over the last 2 games, and even Martz told us on Friday, he said he's going to have to play through this. If he's going to be any good in this league, he's got to thicken his skin up, and said he felt very, very confident that JT would come out and play good today, and so far he has.
Loss of 4 on the last play. Vernon Davis, the tight end, motions. Quick, and the completion. to Arnaz Battle into Eagles territory down to the 35-yard line. Battle has been a big factor already in this game. That's his third catch, a pickup of 26.
Well, this is the third time they've run a hot read. You're going to see blitz come from here. Quick pass. Here comes the blitz. We got a hot read to our slot receiver, that being Arnaz Battle. It's out of his hands quick. And J.T. O'Sullivan from the neck up, Sam. And when I say that mentally, he is all over this game plan. He's seeing the blitz. He's recognizing when it's coming, and he's busting it.
There's Alan Rossum, who's in and lines up at the wing. Now comes in motion. Out of the shotgun. Outside to Rossum. Tries to get a couple of blocks. Never got going. Jaquay Parker got him from behind down at the 31-yard line.
Well, that one there was, I think, just a little messed up with not a real good throw from the quarterback.
Now, Martz has come out passing the football here to start the second half.
And look at last week. Look at the 3-step, 5-step, and 7-step. Premium on that one last week. Today, a little bit of everything for J.T. O'Sullivan. Martz has done a good job, Mike Martz, at calling the game so far here going into the second half.
That was Alan Rossum's first catch of the season, by the way. Here's Gore, first run of the second half. Broke a couple of tackles. Gore still going inside the 10-yard line, down to the 6. One of the best backs in the NFL came into the game leading the NFL in yards from scrimmage. That's running and receiving.
And he's his own best blocker. Watch him break the tackle just beyond the line of scrimmage right there on Omar Gaither. Gaither's a good tackler, and Frank Gore, he goes down and tries to hit him on that leg, and Frank just runs right through that tackle for a huge pickup.
Picked up 25 on the play. 49ers have had 4 plays of 20 yards or more in the game. Here's Gore cutting it back to the goal line. He's in. Touchdown. What a drive for the 49ers. 78-yard drive. It started with all passing and finished with 2 big runs by Frank Gore.
Well, and Frank was, as I said, his own best blocker on the first one. This time he had some help. Vernon Davis, the tight end, did a terrific job of sealing the edge to give Frank Gore the opportunity to pop it out and punch it in for the touch.
And the San Francisco 49ers with the touchdown to win the first half, and then the touchdown to start the second half.
That's a good block from Vernon Davis on Jaquay Parker.
Back in San Francisco, 49ers are all fired up.
You got to love when the tailback sits with the lineman down there on the bench. Gore knows where his bread's buttered.
Short kick by Joe Nedney, taken on the run by Quinton Demps. Demps across the 30, runs into a pile of people, and is taken down at around the 33-yard line. Well, the Eagles had the lead late in the first half, and then the field goal attempt blocked by Ray McDonald, returned for a touchdown. Now the 49ers have come up with a touchdown to grab the lead. First time in the second half, and there you see, don't forget, after the OT post game, after football, we've got the National League Championship Series Game 3. Phillies and Dodgers in L.A. Lorenzo Booker splits out wide left. Here's the pass to Booker, and he dropped it. Second drop of the game for the Eagles.
Well, that's how the game started, was with a drop to the wide receiver, and been waiting for Lorenzo Booker since he was traded up from Miami. And a lot of people say, you know what, he replicates in his style Brian Westbrook and the kind of guy that he is. When he's got opportunities, number 25's got to make some plays.
Eagles go with 3 wide receivers. Buckhalter carrying. Makes the turn. Some good blocks outside. Hank Baskett had a good one. And he's got enough for the first down up to the 44-yard line. 11-yard run for Correll Buckhalter.
That's only their 10th run of the game as a team. They've certainly leaned on McNabb. 23 passes in the game. Buckhalter's had a nice little performance when you look at his total yards and give him those rush yards and combine them with his receiving yards.
10 carries, 54 yards for Correll Buckhalter. Brian Westbrook out, back home, expected to be ready after the bye week in 2 weeks when the Eagles play Atlanta. Time for McNabb, runs out of time with no one open, buys some more time, and throws the ball away out of the pocket. That time, in years gone by, Donovan McNabb probably would have taken off down the field looking for some yardage. Here he bought some time looking to throw.
He still makes plays with his legs, but he makes plays with his legs to throw rather than to run, as you said. When he was young, I mean, he was making them past the line of scrimmage, making big runs. That was just a terrific job there of McNabb buying time with his legs, but even better was the coverage by the 49ers. They brought the blitz, and they covered up the receivers like a blanket.
Dan Klecko, the fullback, is in, along with Correll Buckhalter. McNabb to Buckhalter. And a pickup of about 9 on the play. Let's check out the Cowboys and the Arizona Cardinals. For that, let's go to Kurt Menefee. Thanks, Kurt. Washington lost today. Dallas is leading. The Giants play in Cleveland tomorrow night. Eagles need to keep pace. They need a win. Buckhalter wrapped up by Ray McDonald, the man who had the big block on the field goal try. Comes up with a big tackle short of the first down, so the Eagles fail on 3rd and 1.
And here's Ray right here. He's really starting to come into his own. Ray McDonald, number 91. He just have him on, really ramming it inside, so he's stunting to the inside, gets right underneath Trey Thomas and gets a nice tackle for loss.
Another short yardage failure for the Eagles this season. Sam Rocca gets the punt away, and Alan Rossum waves for a fair catch at the 13-yard line. 49ers, with a jolt of momentum, have the lead and have the ball.
Here's a touchdown and a possible flinch point for the 49ers football team defensively. It's 14-7 at that point. Did they flinch? Did they back up? No, they reacted. They come through with a big block field goal that goes for a touchdown. First time since 1989 they've been able to do that, and I know Mike Nolan has got to love the way his team has responded. You know, an opportunity, as I said, do they flinch after going down 14-7, being on the field a lot? They didn't flinch at all. They responded. They attacked. Not only did they get that field goal, but they came out in the second half and went right down the field and scored. They have responded, and Nolan's got to be pumped about it.
Gore in motion. The handoff to Michael Robinson with a big hole and a good run for Robinson. There's a surprise. There's a flag back at the 15, so that may be brought back. But they motioned Gore, and they went to Michael Robinson.
Holding. Offense number 65. 10-yard penalty. Repeat first down.
That wipes out a 20-yard run. Mike Nolan very upset with the call. Barry Sims, the man called for the hold.
And he's blocking Stuart Bradley, the linebacker, right there. Come inside, and there it is. I mean, he wraps him up and turns his body. Had the angle, didn't need to do that. Takes away a big gainer for Michael Robinson, who's had some good plays in this game.
Yes.
And Mike Martz said he was going to be featured more. And he has been, with a couple of specialty plays for Michael Robinson.
Ball is back to the 8-yard line. 49ers have to get to the 22 for a first down. This is a first down play. Come out with 3 tight ends. Badger motions. And Gore carries. Trying to make the turn. He bounces off Asante Samuel and fights his way up to the 16-yard line. An 8-yard pickup. Quentin Michael finally took him down, but he broke a couple of tackles on the way to an 8-yard gain.
He is a truck, and you know why. He's number 1 in the league in yards per touch, and you see it right there. There's some good names in terms of electric backs here, power backs here, and Frank Gore's ahead of all of them.
Gore with 13 carries, 87 yards in today's game. Deshaun Foster has come in replacing Frank Gore. Lito Shepard in is a 5th defensive back for the Eagles. 3 tight ends again for the 49ers. O'Sullivan finding Vernon Davis wide open. Nice turn upfield, and Davis keeps going. The Eagles chasing. Davis runs out of gas, but not before he gets down to the Eagles' 27-yard line. 57-yard gain on the play.
We talked about the 2 and 3 tight end sets and how they were going to be big for San Francisco. Vernon Davis right here is they're going to get him on a safety. And he's just going to run an out route. J.T. O'Sullivan hits him. Now this is all Vernon Davis and his reaction, bringing it back across the field. You can see there he's got the ability to run away from guys and the strength to pull away from guys. He just ran out of gas. But this is definitely a turning point, I think, in this season for Vernon Davis. This is his best game by far.
Career-long play for Vernon Davis, 57 yards. He'll take a breath as the 49ers call a time.
You see the 2 tight end alignments, which have been huge for San Francisco today. Philadelphia has chosen, for the most part, to put defensive backs on them. And here you can see there's 2 safeties on Vernon Davis, who has the big catch, and then there's a corner on Delaney Walker. Look at the numbers here. Offensive plays, 15 of them have been with 2 tight ends, almost 10 yards a pop. Huge part of what they've been able to do today in terms of their success against this Philly defense.
Gore and Robinson in the backfield now. Gore splits out wide to the right side. 2 wide receivers. And flags fly. There was some motion on the offensive line. That's the one big negative for the 49ers.
Offense number 69. 5-yard penalty, remains first down.
The right guard, Tony Raggi, called for the false start. That's 8 penalties in the game for the 49ers. Sets him back to the 32, 1st and 15. 3 wide receivers in. Arnaz Battle is in. Draw play to Gore. And he's wrestled down close to the 25-yard line. Omar Gaither, the outside linebacker, with the stop. But Frank Gore getting close to 100 yards rushing in the game. J.T. O'Sullivan, 14 for 19, 175 yards passing in the game.
It's been very, very good balance. And Frank Gore has gotten his touches, just as we talked about, just as we anticipated. And it's not a surprise for Philadelphia. I know coming in, talking to them on defense, they expected this guy to get a lot of carries, and he has.
2 tight ends, both to the left. Delaney Walker and Vernon Davis. It's Frank Gore. And the Eagles get him just as he got to the line of scrimmage. Short pickup on the play. It'll bring up a 3rd and long for the 49ers.
I think you got to give Mike Martz a lot of credit in this game so far. And we all know, and everybody knows, Mike Martz wants to get big chunks through the passing game offensively. And he told us, he said, look, to be successful against these guys, you have to run the football. You have to have a short passing attack. And he stuck with it.
Have to get to the 17 for a first down. Victor Abiamiri in at defensive tackle for the Eagles. O'Sullivan with some pressure. Ducked it off to Gore. And he's wrestled down very close to the first down marker. Stuart Bradley, the middle linebacker, wrapped him up, but he's just a little bit short. It's a 4th down for the 49ers. So, do they go for 3 to get a 9-point lead? No, it looks like they're going for the first down. I don't agree with this.
Well, I think this early in the game, you got to get your points when you can. And Nedney's been all over it, kicking the ball. So this could be a big turning point either way for San Francisco.
2 for 4 on 4th downs this season. Gore and Robinson in the backfield. Gore. And he is hit, but he fights his way for a first down. Frank Gore gets enough for the first down, just short of the 15-yard line.
And a pretty good job defending it. Listen to Frank Gore here, popping it up inside. And Stuart Bradley had him at the line of scrimmage.
Yep.
I'll say it again. Frank Gore is his own best blocker. Look at that leg strength from the lower body. He gives you a chance every time he touches the rock, because rarely does he go down when the first guy gets it.
Deshaun Foster in at running back. 2 tight ends for the 49ers. Foster carries. And hit hard by Asante Samuel. Knocked him out of bounds at the 15-yard line. Just across it, he got a yard on the play in the 14. This is a big point in the game for the Eagles. They're a team that has really struggled in the second half lately, had trouble scoring, and had trouble last week stopping the Washington Redskins.
And this is a trend that last week third down was a problem. This is a trend now that you got to start thinking about. This half, look what San Francisco has done with ball possession.
A lot of shifting. Empty backfield for the 49ers. They shift again. Deshaun Foster is the running back. Draw play, Foster is tripped up and falls forward to about the 11-yard line. Brian Dawkins makes the tackle. What about all the shifting?
Well, I think what they do is they get this defense having to change their run fits. I mean, you got a bunch of young guys up front in the box for Philadelphia. And I think with all these shifts, all these motions, guys really have to start thinking about where their run fits are and where their responsibilities are. You think for a second and you get beat.
Frank Gore back in. 3 wide receivers. 3rd and 6. O'Sullivan being chased. Goes back the other way and overthrows Vernon Davis. He was wide open, had a couple of blockers, but with pressure from Quentin Michael, J.T. O'Sullivan overthrew Vernon Davis.
Well, and this is just set up beautifully. It's just not executed. I mean, look at, this whole side of the field's theirs. They'll have 3 blockers out there and cut that baby right there. Look, there's no defenders.
So now Joe Nedney is on to attempt a 29-yard field goal. He is 3 for 3 in the game, including that 53-yarder. The hold of Andy Lee puts it right through, and the 49ers now have a 9-point lead. Joe Nedney with a strong day. Mike Martz has had a good day. Followed by the OT. Great post-game show, followed by the National League Championship Series. The Phillies and the Dodgers play Game 3 in Los Angeles. Phils have a 2-0 lead. Big one coming up. Joe Buck and Tim McCarver call it for you. Nedney's kick to Quentin Demps from the 1. Looking for a good return. And a lane, and he runs out of room, springs it outside, and he is pulled down after he got up to about the 23-yard line. Donald Strickland with the tackle for the 49ers, who have taken control of this game after it looked like they were down and out. J.T. O'Sullivan has had a solid game, 15 for 21, 181 yards.
Well, I talked to him on Friday. He said, tell us about this game. He said, man, I'm just looking forward to getting back out there so I can play better. That's the beauty of this league. The next Sunday, you got a chance to redeem yourself. He has today.
Terrell Buckhalter and Lorenzo Booker in the backfield. In motion, Deshaun Jackson. McNabb, plenty of time, goes short to Buckhalter, and he's brought down by Walt Harris up at the 28-yard line. 5th catch of the game for Terrell Buckhalter.
Tell you who's played well today is Ray McDonald, the defensive lineman. In year number 2, he had the big field goal block earlier. He is their best inside pass rusher when you talk about the interior down lineman. Had a great preseason, kind of flattened out at the start of the season. Today he is on his game.
2nd and 5 with Han Klecko in at fullback for the Eagles. Off the play fake. McNabb goes deep. He's got a man, and it is overthrown. He had Greg Lewis open. There is a flag on the play in the secondary, and we will check out the call.
I think they're going to get Walt Harris, Sam, for pass interference.
Illegal contact. Defense number 27. A 5-yard penalty and a 1st down.
So not pass interference, which would have been a long pickup. It's a 5-yard pickup.
Well, and here it is. Is the ball in the air? That's the question. No, there was the contact, and it was hardly any. Walt didn't think that he did it. You saw him there clapping at the end of the play. Quarterback did still have the football when he did make that contact, so certainly the right call with it being just illegal contact and not pass interference. 9th
penalty of the game for the 49ers. Eagles from the 33. Terrell Buckhalter takes it outside. Good turn, slips a man, turns it into a big gainer. and Buckhalter is out of bounds at the 39-yard line of the 49ers. Chased out by Patrick Willis, but a big run of 28 yards for Correll Buckhalter.
Good blocks by the wide receivers there on the little crack, but look at the cut, and then now DeSean Jackson is going to hold up Nate Clements long enough and takes him down low to spring Buckhalter.
Nice stiff arm by Buckhalter.
Real good stiff arm. How about that cut to bounce it outside and get it to the sideline? Electric.
11 carries, 70 yards for Correll Buckhalter. First down, Eagles. And they go straight ahead inside the 35 to the 34-yard line. Lorenzo Booker on the carry. Booker getting a little more playing time in this game with Brian Westbrook out.
And I think Andy's got to be happy with how his playmakers have played on offense. I mean, when you look at it, he's without his best player, Brian Westbrook, today. He's without Reggie Brown. He's been without Kevin Curtis all year, but yet the receivers and the running back are still coming up with big plays.
Brent Selleck, the tight end, splits out to the right. Off the play fake. McNabb looking, throwing, connects with DeSean Jackson. Slipped one man and is pulled out of bounds at the 15-yard line. The Eagles looking sharp on this drive that started from their own 23. That's a 19-yard pickup.
Well, and watch the levels. Here's the guy that ends up getting it. You got one there, you're going to have one deep, and you're going to have one shallow. McNabb takes the one right here in the middle of the field. You see, here's deep, or shallow, here's deep, and there's medium. And it was clearly the right guy to go to, and McNabb found him.
Two tight ends, two wideouts, and Buckhalter in the backfield. First down at the 49ers 15. McNabb with time, and it's intercepted. Intercepted by Takeo Spikes, who's now had an interception in 3 straight games. That is a rarity. Only the 3rd interception of the season thrown by Donovan McNabb.
And that's a crusher right here in the red zone. Here's Spikes. This is the first time they've targeted L.J. Smith, and he doesn't get in front of Takeo Spikes. Looks like he tripped a little bit right before he got there, which changed his angle in front of the linebacker. Did not get in front of the linebacker, and Donovan threw that right to the chest plate of Takeo Spikes.
Spikes elated as he catches one against his former team, and the 49ers come up with the first turnover of the game. And they're at the 12-yard line. Gore. No gain on the play. Roderick Bunkley, the defensive tackle, makes the stop on Frank Gore. As the final seconds of the 3rd quarter tick off, the 49ers carried the momentum at the end of the first half with a blocked field goal try that they turned into a touchdown. And they have scored 17 unanswered points in the game. End of the 3rd quarter, 49ers lead the Eagles 26-17. Reception and an interception in the red zone. Takeo Spikes, his former teammate, with a pick. And I want to correct myself. 49ers have scored 20 unanswered points in this game, leading 26-17. And again, 4 straight games now. The Eagles have not scored a touchdown in the 3rd quarter. O'Sullivan being chased by Parker. Throws it, and it's batted down. And Asante Samuel jumping up and down, thought he might have been able to come up with an interception. Special teams for the 49ers came up with a big play this game. The blocked field goal try and a return for a touchdown. The running game, Frank Gore has run for 98 yards and a touchdown. And then the defense, Takeo Spikes with a big interception, the only turnover of this game.
Yeah, all 3 phases have played well here through the first 3 quarters. They've all had some impactful moments in this game.
3rd and 10. O'Sullivan under pressure. They got him. First sack of the game. Traquay Parker takes him down. Parker leading the Eagles now with 4.5 sacks this season. Good defensive stand for the Eagles.
Jaquay's coming all the way from over here from the left side. He's going to come around Vernon Davis. Trent Cole is the one that beats Joe Staley initially to force J.T. O'Sullivan up in the pocket to step up, and then Jaquay Parker came and finished him off.
Andy Lee to punt from deep in his end zone, only his second punt of the game. It's a bad one. Low line drive that's picked up by the short man, Greg Lewis, and he's out of bounds at the 49ers 38-yard line. Eagles with great field position. They need something offensively. They need to score. 49ers with the 9-point lead, and Donovan McNabb heading back onto the field. The Eagles were driving. They had a good drive going when Takeo Spikes came up with the interception.
Well, and I think McNabb, who you talked about, doesn't generally throw interceptions, hasn't really thrown a lot throughout his career. I think he was just throwing to a spot. Expected his tight end, who was coming on a crossing route, to get right in the middle of the field and in front of that linebacker, and L.J. Smith never made it there. Now, whether he tripped or just didn't take a good angle, he didn't get in front of the linebacker. And it was an easy interception for Takeo Spikes.
3 wide receivers for the Eagles. Out of the shotgun, Donovan McNabb. And they stop the play. Flags fly. False start against the Eagles. Only their second penalty of the game.
False start. Offense number 84. 5-yard penalty. Remains first down.
Hank Baskett, the man called.
And here's what I'm talking about. Here's L.J. Smith. He's just going to get to the middle of the field, and he's got to get in front of the linebacker who's sitting right in the hole. You see there as he kind of stumbles at the last second, doesn't get in front of Takeo Spikes, and McNabb was expecting his tight end to be there.
Eagles back to the 43, 1st and 15. And still working out of the shotgun. McNabb. Wide open, Deshaun Jackson, and he's got a first down at the 26-yard line. The Eagles, who have really had problems putting up points in the second half this season. As we mentioned, they haven't scored a third-quarter touchdown now in the last 4 games. And they, over the last 3 coming into today, hadn't scored a second-half touchdown. Deshaun Jackson, 6 catches, 98 yards. Terrell Buckhalter, the running back. Bouncing it through. Nice run by Buckhalter down the 11-yard line. Beautiful run by Terrell Buckhalter. Mark Roman finally made the tackle.
Well, he catches the 49ers coming inside. Watch the center, though, with a pretty good block. Because it's good penetration by Ronald Fields, but he's able to hold him just long enough. And it was a great read by the tailback. I mean, he read that backside defensive end, Ray McDonald, slanting inside and cut it right off the backside for a nice game.
3 wide receivers for the Eagles. On 1st and 10, Buckhalter can't get outside. Takeo Spikes joined Justin Smith for the tackle on Terrell Buckhalter, and a loss of about 1.5 yards on the play.
Takeo cleans it up, but watch what the defensive end does to the tight end, L.J. Smith. Watch Justin Smith. I mean, he just trashes him. Puts him straight on his back, still gets in on the play. That's how you play DN. DNs in this league must refuse to lose against tight ends in the running game.
Eagles with 3 wide receivers, 6 defensive backs in for the 49ers. Eagles go empty backfield with Buckhalter in the slot left. Everybody out. McNabb completes it to Hank Baskett inside the 3-yard line. A little short of the first down. They've got to get to the 1-yard line for a first down. So now here again is the pressure on the Eagles. Short yardage. They have had trouble in short yardage situations.
Well, they've leaned on the offensive line when they have run the ball today. And that's been their best success, in my opinion, today so far, when they've had to get short yardage plays. Get behind those 330-pounders and get some push.
2 tight ends in. They have to get to the 1-yard line for a first down. 3 wide receivers. McNabb being rushed, throws, and it is caught for a touchdown by L.J. Smith. Just as pressure was coming from the outside, McNabb got rid of it And a big touchdown. The Eagles finally break that second half drought.
I like the fact that he went back to his tight end, L.J. Smith. I think that's only the second time they've targeted him today. The first one was an interception. You could not throw that ball any better. Clements was in good coverage. He snuck it down low for the touchdown.
David Akers for the extra point. As this game tightens up. Remember the Eagles' big defensive series against the 49ers that kept after the interception by Spikes? It was 3 and out.
Good point.
And the Eagles got good field position and finish it off on a 2-yard touchdown pass. Donovan McNabb to L.J. Smith. Here's my recommendation to you. Don't touch that dial. After football, the OT presented by Lowe's wraps you up on the whole day in football, and that's followed by Game 3, National League Championship Series, Phillies and Dodgers in L.A. Allen Rossum on the return from the goal line. Swinging it outside. Started to cut it back when he was wrapped up on the play by Quentin Michael at the 27-yard line. 49ers with a 2-point lead here in the fourth quarter. Mike Martz's offense has been good, though that 3 and out was on the last possession.
Yeah, they haven't had a lot of those. Now, they haven't been great on third down, but if you're Jim Johnson and his defenses typically will get you 3 and out, I'll tell you what it's done is it's given their defense a chance today because they've had good ball possession throughout the football game.
O'Sullivan being rushed, puts it up deep, and it's incomplete. Intended for Vernon Davis, the tight end going deep. Big time pressure on the play, and O'Sullivan got hit. Quentin Michael blitzing on the play for the Eagles. And Trent Cole was there as well.
Well, they've started to get some pretty good pressure. It was the last series that allowed them to get off the field. You mentioned the 3 and out because it was a sack by Jaquay Parker. And that was the first sack of the football game. So San Francisco's protections here in the fourth quarter seem like they've started to break down just a little bit.
3 wide receivers. Arnaz Battle-In as the 3rd wide receiver. O'Sullivan throws incomplete. Intended for the rookie Josh Morgan. He was well covered by Sheldon Brown. The Eagles are without Lito Shepherd, who's their nickel corner. He's got a hamstring problem. He's in the locker room.
See, and I'll tell you what happens on the first down. They tried to go deep to Vernon Davis. It was a deep corner route. He missed him because of the pressure. Now you're at 2nd and 10, and you got to throw again. And now you've taken Frank Gore, at least for this series, out of the game, and you're just preserving that clock for Philadelphia.
That's right. Well, here's a big 3rd and 10 for the 49ers with Gore in the backfield. And 3 wide receivers. Everybody out. Pressure on O'Sullivan. Got it to Vernon Davis. What a play by Omar Gaither. He just fought off the block and would not be denied on the tackle of the tight end. Mike Martz upset. It's back-to-back 3 and outs for the 49ers.
2 real good plays by a couple of guys. Darren Howard is going to get tremendous penetration right inside, and then watch Omar Gaither. He reads it the whole way. See, Howard's going to get the quick penetration. Omar Gaither never fell for it, knew the tight end screen was coming. That's terrific defense by Philadelphia now 2 series in a row.
Andy Lee, short punt, but gets a good bounce. On the return, DeSean Jackson breaks 1 man, tries to get outside. Oh, was he ripped down by Delaney Walker. Whoa. Clothesline tackle after a 9-yard return. Jackson is okay. Jackson on the return. Delaney hits him hard. Body slams him.
Sit down.
There's Mike Nolan's view of things as the Eagles start from their own 49-yard line, down by 2 points. Tony Hunt, number 29, in for the first time at fullback with Carell Buckhalter, who's had a big day. Look at those numbers. DeSean Jackson okay after that hard tackle by Delaney Walker. Jackson in motion. Fake the end around. Screen pass. Buckhalter hops over 1 man and fights his way down to the 49ers 43-yard line. Let's see what's happening in Arizona with the Cardinals and the Cowboys. Kurt. Thank you, Kurt. What a game. And Arizona trying to hold on to first place. We've got a great game here with San Francisco trying to get to 3-3 and put some pressure on in the division. McNabb out of the shotgun. Has time. Dumps it off to Correll Buckhalter. Couple of blockers. Buckhalter, big gainer. And he is brought down on the ankle tackle at the 25-yard line. Patrick Willis made the tackle, but a good play by Correll Buckhalter.
Just a heck of a game for Correll Buckhalter. And Andy Reid told us yesterday, I said, how much has the game plan changed really without Brian Westbrook? And he goes, not much. He goes, well, we'll have less specialty plays, but in terms of just the overall game plan, there will not be a big change on that card that he's got. And there hasn't been. Correll Buckhalter has been a big part of their offense today.
DeSean Jackson injured on the play, goes to the sideline, apparently a leg or an ankle injury. And for Donovan McNabb, with 280 yards passing, he is now the all-time leader in Philadelphia Eagles history in passing yardage. Passing Ron Jaworski. First down at the 24. Buckhalter tripped up. No gain on the play. Ron Jaworski played 10 years for the Philadelphia Eagles and an outstanding career. He was the rifle, had the big arm, and put up some great numbers in his 10 seasons from 1977 to 1986. Man, what an easy and smooth delivery. And the man who has now surpassed him in the Eagles records books is Donovan McNabb in his 10th season. Lorenzo Booker is in, and he splits out to the right side. Empty backfield for McNabb. And he fires, almost intercepted by Patrick Willis. Off his hands. The pass intended for Hank Baskett.
Really a heads-up play by Patrick Willis. He's here because the receiver's going to try to bow it back to the middle of the field, and he just plays it the whole way. I mean, he read the eyes and the head of quarterback Donovan McNabb and just played the throwing lane.
DeSean Jackson back in for the Eagles. Here's a big third down play. They have to get to the 14 for a first down. Correll Buckhalter in the backfield. Brent Selleck, the tight end, motions. Protection for McNabb. He runs for it. And he's out of bounds inside the 20-yard line, short of the first down. He picked up yardage down to the 20 and will just help out David Akers, who will come in and attempt about a 37 or 38-yard field goal.
He's bought some yardage, as you said, for his kicker. But again, Ray McDonald with good pressure up the middle. It's been about the best thing they've had going, that being San Francisco, and getting the pressure on McNabb today. There hasn't been a lot of it.
38-yard try for David Akers out of the hold of Sam Rocca. John Dornbos, the long snapper. This one is good. It was hooking. And a big one for David Akers, and the Eagles regain the lead. 20s, we've got the OT coming up after football, and Ryan Howard, Manny Ramirez, Phillies, Dodgers, Game 3, NLCS, right here on Fox. Phillies have a 2-0 lead. Wow, those games in Philadelphia, were they exciting? The fans were loud. Alan Rossum is deep. He's had a good day returning.
Aren't the fans always loud in Philadelphia, no matter what the sport is? If they're challenging the field goal, whether or not it went in.
Yeah, something's happened. Now, Mike Nolan's calling the officials over.
Now, the TV angles, it was hard to see, but I did see the back judge and the other judge under the goalpost when it went through, and they had the best look at it. They both looked at each other and shook their heads. Yes. Well, and I don't think if you're Mike Nolan, you can base it on TV looks, because the guys that had the best look at it are right underneath the goalpost. Watch the heads of these two. Because this is almost like an optical illusion, because it looks like it doesn't go through from that angle.
Yeah.
But watch these guys.
Yeah.
Yes.
Both nod their head.
Yes.
Yeah. And this is from behind, and yeah, from that angle it looks good. It certainly looks good from that angle. Big discussion going on.
You know, I'm not even sure.
The question is whether you can challenge.
By rule, I don't think you can.
The ruling, but the field goal was good.
I thought the way the rule read is it had to hit the crossbar or something that's, I don't think because of the angles, you could challenge this based on TV angles. In terms of it just being a kick, whether it's good or not.
And you know, Tim, just from looking at it, what we're seeing, there's no way they're going to overturn.
No way, especially with what these guys saw from that look.
Right.
They've got the best look of anybody, and they both, in conference, looked at each other and said it's good. Seeing from there, it looked like it just went right over the inside edge of the goalpost.
You can review a field goal or extra point try when it's lower than the top of the uprights.
Yeah, see, then this isn't a reviewable play.
Yeah. But Ron Winter has gone back and is reviewing it. And he's the man in charge of the game as the referee.
Yeah, you remember the Cleveland-Baltimore game last year and all the fuss that caused, and that one hit the crossbar,
right,
the stabilizing bar on the backside.
The one where
this isn't even a challengeable call, in my opinion, from what the rule book says, and Ron Winter's under their looking at a challenge.
Now, don't forget, we've got everything following the game. Scores, highlights, interviews, analysis, everything coming up on the OT, presented by Lowe's. And right after that, down to L.A., where Joe Buck and Tim McCarver are standing by to bring you Game 3 of the National League Championship Series. And our buddy Chris Myers, who we miss whenever he's not with us.
We do miss Chris. But, you know, back to it, I don't think you can challenge it because perception is not reality with the TV cameras.
Right. Yeah.
And it's the guy right underneath. It's the back judge and the other referee or the other official right underneath that have the best look at it, the true look at it. This was not a reviewable play.
Referee Ron Winter accepted the challenge.
After review, the ruling on the field stands. The field goal is good.
Yeah. There's no way that they could see anything that would turn that around.
And in a close game like this, I mean, the coach has got to have somebody up in the box that's got to tell him, look, that's not challengeable. Because now you've used your challenges and you just got charged a timeout. You're down by 1 with 7:46 to go in the game. And really, as Mike, they should have came and said, look, that's not a challengeable play.
I agree with you. And I think that was the big discussion, but how he convinced them.
See, Mike's just wasting his breath right here because of really how the rule is. Oh. It's got to involve the crossbar.
Well, the referee has got to be the man to tell him that. And say, you know,
well, it's
we
not
can't
his
review
job
that
to make the coach know. The coach has to know the rules.
Yeah, but
at the same time, the referee has to know that it's not a challengeable play.
That's right. So after the challenge,
and most of them will come over and tell the coach, look, coach, it's, you know, most of them will provide that courtesy, even though they're not, you know, they don't have to.
So Mike Nolan tries the challenge, gets nowhere with it. It costs the timeout. 7:46 remaining. His team down by a point. What a game this has been. The Eagles at one point in the first half led 17-6. A big blocked field goal attempt by the 49ers. Returned for a touchdown. Made it a one-point game at halftime, 17-16. The 49ers came out in the third quarter and grabbed the lead by 9. Akers kickoff, line drive to Rossum at the 7. Waiting for some blocking. Rossum hunted back, found the lane, and a good return by Allen Rossum. Up to the 38-yard line. Chris Gokong on the tackle. 31-yard return. Well, you know, you talk about coaches and quarterbacks coming into the league as rookies together. How about those two, Bill Walsh and Joe Montana? They came in as rookie coach, rookie quarterback, spent 10 years together, 75 wins, Super Bowl championships. What a pair. And that's what we have with Philadelphia. 10 years together for Andy Reid and Donovan McNabb, and they're looking for their 76th win together. And they've been to a Super Bowl and championship games, conference championship games. 2-yard pickup on first down by Frank Gore.
And being down a point, they've been able to move the ball. They got to chew as much of this up as they can because of how hot McNabb has been in the passing game. Right now is where Frank Gore has got to go from about 18 carries, 19 carries to 25 carries.
Big series for Mike Martz and the 49ers. Last two possessions have been 3 and out. They need something here. Frank Gore with a 2-yard pickup is now at 100 yards for the game. Second 100-yard game of the season for Gore. End around. Delaney Walker tackled for a big loss by Jaquay Parker. Did somebody miss a block there?
No, Jaquay Parker just didn't fall for the run read. The end, this is just a great job by Jaquay Parker. He's here. He's never going to go with the down blocks. Most of the time you got to squeeze. He's unblocked. He stays home, reads it the whole way, and just makes a huge tackle for loss. That is a crusher against this offense on second down.
And Jaquay Parker, who had the sore knee all week, boy, has he had a terrific game.
He has. He had that knee drained all week, too. That knee was a problem. You've said that a couple times today.
Loss of 10 for the 49ers. They have to get to the 48-yard line for a first down. Arnaz Battle in as a third wide receiver. Vernon Davis motions. And blitz is picked up by Frank Gore. O'Sullivan throws. It's intercepted by Quintin Mikell. Michael runs into Frank Gore and is down inside the 10. The first turnover of the game for the 49ers, and it is a killer.
And this play, to me, is linked up to the play before with the huge tackle for loss. Because what this allows Philadelphia to do, and a lot of teams do it when it's third and extra long, you're going to have 3 guys rushing. When you have 3 guys rushing, you've got 8 in coverage. And Quintin Mikell just reads the quarterback the whole way. You're going to see 27 flash into your screen. There's 8 guys in coverage, and he just undercuts Isaac Bruce on the in route.
Second interception of the season for Quintin Mikell. Buckhalter and Klecko in the backfield. First and goal at the 7-yard line. Buckhalter ran straight ahead, right into Isaac Sopoaga. JT O'Sullivan, who was having a big game, playing very, very solid. No turnovers to that point. And
well, this is the biggest interception. This is the biggest point of the game, and that's the youth and only 6 starts under his belt for JT O'Sullivan. Still a lot of time left. The punt's still okay, only down by 1.
Last play for the Eagles, lost about half a yard. Second and goal. Hank Baskett in at wide receivers. They have 3 wideouts. McNabb rolling, looking, throwing deep into the end zone and threw it away. Pressure from Justin Smith for the 49ers brings up a 3rd and goal for the Eagles. And the Eagles score the touchdown that can give them a 9-point lead, an 8-point lead, or do they have to settle for 3, which the 49ers would love to do if they can come up with a big defensive play here.
Well, these guys should be rested. Time of possession has been owned by San Francisco in this game. They should have a lot of energy right now on defense.
3rd and goal. Everybody out. McNabb being rushed, throws, and is batted down. Paris Harrelson with a big defensive play. Pressure from Justin Smith on Donovan McNabb.
Well, that's huge. Justin Smith's coming from over here. He's been lined up everywhere today. He's the one that gets the pressure. And then watch Paris Harrelson, who really is a rusher now, playing linebacker, dropping in coverage. Boy, and if he doesn't get up and get his hand on it, looks like Patrick Willis was right behind him for a possible interception. Big stop on 3rd down, holding him to a field goal opportunity.
25-yard try for David Akers, and he puts it through, and the Eagles' lead is 4 points.
That's huge.
But now the 49ers will have to go the route to the end zone to get the lead back. 5:14 remaining. 49ers have only 1 timeout remaining. There have been missed opportunities in this game. How about this play?
Yeah, none bigger than this one. And J.T. O'Sullivan, I mean, there's nobody. He hurries his throw, overthrows Vernon Davis on the tight end screen. That was an easy touchdown.
30-26. The Eagles with a 4-point lead as this game has gone back and forth. Allen Rossum has had a big day returning, averaging 23 yards on kickoff returns, as long as 31.
He had a big pop early, though. You remember when they had a holding call on Michael Robinson, which took the one back, because he had a real nice long one earlier in the football game that was called back.
Still a lot of time left as Akers with the kick. Rossum from the 2. Trying to get outside. The Eagles are there. Good coverage by the Eagles as Rossum is out of bounds short of the 20-yard line. Some great action coming your way on the NFL on Fox next week. 49ers go east to play the Giants. Giants are 4-0 going into action tomorrow night in Cleveland. Don't forget, it all begins with a pregame show at noon Eastern and 9 Pacific. Later in the day, the Lions and the Houston Texans.
Tell you, Philly holds on here. They can close the gap with the Redskins losing today. Dallas is down by 10 with 2:40 to go down in Arizona.
3 wide receivers for the 49ers. Frank Gore carrying, trying to get outside. Eagles are there. Eagles defense, the last 3 49ers possessions have been outstanding. You've had 2 3-and-outs and an interception the last 3 times the 49ers have had the ball.
Well, they found their groove, and they've started to heat it up front. I mean, Trent Cole has had some good rushes. Jaquay Parker had the sack. He had the huge tackle for the loss. I'll tell you what's happened here in the 4th quarter is Philadelphia has started winning at the line of scrimmage on defense. Their D-line has come up big.
A lot of shifting for the 49ers. 3 wide receivers. Gore shifts as they go empty backfield. And now they've got to use a timeout. They're out of timeouts. There was so much shifting. There had to be confusion as to what the play was, because they shifted 3 times. And finally, J.T. O'Sullivan had to call a timeout. So the 49ers, with 4:20 remaining here in the 4th quarter, are out of timeouts and down by 4. Earlier today, Matt Schaub and the Houston Texans got their first win of the season as they beat Miami 29-28 late. Matt Ryan, a big game for the Atlanta Falcons as they beat the Chicago Bears. So the Falcons becoming a force to be reckoned with the rookie at quarterback. And Gus Frerotte in Minnesota came back to win and tie Chicago for first place in the NFC North.
Well, Matt Ryan has been so impressive to me, and just watching the poise of that young quarterback, and you know, top 3 pick out of Boston College, and came in and took the starting job pretty much right away, and he has been terrific.
And
for Mike Smith and the Falcons.
We've got everything covered for you on the OT presented by Lowe's that follows this game. Scores, highlights, analysis, interviews, it's all coming up on the OT, and that's followed by the National League Championship Series with the Phillies and Dodgers game 3. 3 wide receivers, 2nd and 9 for the 49ers. O'Sullivan in trouble, gets away, looking Throwing deep downfield, he's got a man, and it's broken up. Sheldon Brown dove in front of Isaac Bruce.
Unbelievable acceleration by 24 Sheldon Brown, because this play breaks down. It's just a cover 2 shell. Isaac Bruce gets behind the safeties, looks like the ball's coming, and then look at 24 lay out to get a pass breakup.
6 men on the line of scrimmage. A 5-yard penalty. Repeat, second down.
Illegal formation against the 49ers.
Well, that actually helps them because it buys them another down. If you think about it, pushes them back 5, but instead of it being third down, it's going to be second down.
Back to the 15-yard line. Mike Martz got to come up with something here with his team needing 4 points. Down 4 points. They need 7. They've got to get 7. O'Sullivan under pressure from Parker. Trying to get away. He does from Bunkley. And O'Sullivan stays in bounds. What did he do there?
That's the youth again. That's the youth again.
He was right by the sideline, and instead of running out of bounds to stop the clock, he tried to cut back inside. Gets up to the 26. It'll bring up a 3rd and 3.
And I understand that you're trying to pick up the first down if you're JT O'Sullivan, but at the same time, you've got to preserve the clock and know when your journey has come to an end. There was 4 defenders out there in front of him.
Eagles brought good pressure from the front line with Jaquay Parker and Roderick Bunkley. Chris Clemens is in on the defensive line for the Eagles, number 91. 3rd and 3. O'Sullivan, the ball hit, knocked out of his hands, and it looks like it's ruled a fumble. The Eagles think they have it.
Trent Cole just came around the side and just batted it out. Now, was JT O'Sullivan's arm going forward or not?
They rule fumble, and it's recovered by the Eagles. Chris Clemens.
Here's the problem. There's no challenge left to look at it if you're San Francisco.
That's right.
There's no challenges left because they challenged an unchallengeable play on the field goal. Here's Trent Cole here. He's going to run the corner on Joe Staley. And let's see if the arm's going forward. No, it's not. That's a clear fumble as Cole pulls it out before JT O'Sullivan can get that arm rocking forward.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a fumble.
Good play by Trent Cole. Heads up recovery by Chris Clemens.
And I think the theme here in the 4th quarter has been the defensive line for the Philadelphia Eagles has taken this game over. And in particular from the edges with Jaquay Parker and Trent Cole right there.
Last 4 possessions, the Eagles defense really came up big. Buckhalter, strong run inside the 15 to the 14-yard line. Challenges. This one should have been challenged. It wasn't. This one was challenged as to both feet in bounds. And then this field goal, which shouldn't have been a challenge at all, was challenged. And the 49ers out of timeouts would not have been able to challenge that last play if they thought they could have. Buckhalter and Klecko in the backfield. Buckhalter cutting back inside, gets down to the 12-yard line. The Philadelphia Eagles, who were down by 9 points, came up with 2 3-and-outs, an interception, and a fumble recovery in the last 4 49ers possessions.
Yeah, and it wasn't how they typically do it with blitz. It was really their defensive line just making plays and whipping the guy in front of them.
And we have reached the 2-minute warning. The Eagles, with a big comeback in the 4th quarter, have a 4-point lead. What a day in San Francisco. Now a big play for the 49ers. They need to stop here and hold the Eagles to a field goal try. Buckhalter. He is close. He is close to that first down. Justin Smith on the tackle. This is huge. If it's a first down, this game will be over.
Yeah, I think this is short. At least from where the side judge came in to spot it.
49ers can't stop the clock. And 4th down. I believe Ron Winter signaled 4th down.
Yeah, you could see the line judge came in right away, and it was certainly short. The first down's pretty much right on the 10, and they're about a half-yard short.
So now the Eagles will let the clock run down as far as they can, and they have called timeout.
And you see the yellow line there for the first down right in front of the 10-yard line. Now Justin Smith making another play. And if it is anything under review in terms of reviewing the spot, it's got to come from the booth because it's inside of 2 minutes.
The Eagles have called the timeout and will allow for the people upstairs to check it out. Ron Winter is showing Andy Reid inches short.
Here's another look at it. And Justin Smith's here. He's coming from the backside. He just knifes right through there. Yeah,
he is
he's
short.
Definitely short. That's a good spot by the line judge.
So now David Akers comes out to try and give the Eagles a 7-point lead, but it also means that the 49ers will get the ball back. 28-yard field goal try for David Akers. He has made 3 in the game, make it 4 in the game for David Akers. He had one blocked, which turned the game around at the time for the 49ers. David Akers gives the Eagles a 7-point lead with 1:10 remaining. The 49ers have no timeouts, but they will get the ball and a chance to make some desperation plays and make something happen to get them a tie game. Don't forget, following football, it's the OT. And who's the man heading that up? Kurt Menefee.
All right, thanks a lot, Sam. Coming up on the OT presented by Lowe's, it's been a day filled with fantastic finishes, and we'll have all the highlights and scores. Plus, big games from Drew Brees, Peyton Manning, and Brett Favre. And then playoff baseball between the Phillies and Dodgers. It all comes your way on the OT just as soon as you are done. Back to Sam and Tim.
Kurt looks great, huh? He really looks good. Allen Rossum needs a big return here. He's had a good day. 49ers, JT O'Sullivan waiting for his chance to come up with a big finish for his team. To maybe get them tied and into overtime. Rossum from the 1. Cutting it back. And gets up close to the 25-yard line. A little over a minute to go. No timeouts remaining for San Francisco. And now it's Mike Martz, the offensive mind, and Jim Johnson, the defensive mind, working against one another.
And I would expect Jim Johnson, I'll be interested to see if he blitzes, because his D-line has played so good here in the 4th quarter without blitzing. And if he doesn't blitz, obviously he's going to be able to keep 7 guys back in coverage, maybe 8.
4 wide receivers for the 49ers.
That's what they're doing. 3-man rush, 8 in coverage.
Frank Gore in the backfield with O'Sullivan. O'Sullivan steps up, throws. What a leaping grab by Josh Morgan at midfield.
Whoa.
What a catch by the rookie from Virginia Tech. O'Sullivan wants to stop the clock. Gets everybody set. 25-yard pickup to midfield. 48 seconds to go.
Well, they said Josh Morgan had hops. Did you see him sky up for that one? That looked uncatchable, and then he just comes flying out of the air. Number 84. Whoa.
First catch of the season for the rookie Josh Morgan. And what a beauty that is. And Mike Martz has been saying we're going to hear from him. First of the game, excuse me. Quick toss intercepted. Jaquay Parker, the defensive end. He's heading for the end zone. Touchdown. The defensive end dropped back in coverage and picked off JT O'Sullivan. and has put this game away for the Eagles.
Well, he threw the bait out there, and J.T. O'Sullivan took it. He never saw him. He was lined up. Inside was Jaquay Parker. What a call from Jim Johnson. Great execution from the defensive end, Jaquay Parker, who's had a heck of a football game today.
The Eagles defense
Look at
has
him
done
here. I mean, he just drops it. The receiver never even saw it. The receiver never even saw it. JT was throwing. Isaac Bruce is still running.
Wow.
He never saw the ball was even coming. I think JT O'Sullivan was expecting a hot route, a slant in front of that guy. Isaac never adjusted. Jaquay Parker was sitting right in the hole for the interception.
The scoreboard says 40 points for the Eagles. It's the Eagles defense that turned this game around.
Definitely in the second half, because the first 3 quarters of this game, Mike Martz and his offense was having a pretty good offensive output in terms of their game. And the hot reads were working all day. I mean, you'll see something from earlier in the game. This is earlier. Here comes the blitz, and they were just picking them apart with it. The game plan was terrific. They tried to go back to the well one too many times. The receiver and the quarterback aren't on the same page. The little zone blitz and the zone drop from the defensive end. They set the hook and bring it back for a touchdown.
First career interception, first career touchdown for Jaquay Parker. We said it earlier. He's had a big game. He had a sack in this game. And you can see the disappointment on the face of J.T. O'Sullivan. For most of this game, he was really good. But then in the late stages, the Eagles came up with a couple of interceptions and a fumble recovery. And what a run by Jaquay Parker. I hope he's got that football. You need to keep that football. Eagles have put it away 40-26. This game was 26-17. Rossum is pulled down at the 23-yard line. Today's game produced by Mike Burks, directed by Rich Russo. The associate director is Tom Yohe. The broadcast associate Eric Mandia. The technical producer Frank Phillips. Technical directors the governor John Howard. Audio supervisor, the man who makes us sound good, the man from Philadelphia, Kevin McCloskey. The pregame show, produced by Scott Ackerson, directed by Bob Levy. Senior producers Bill Brown, executive producers of Fox Sports are Ed Gorin and David Hill. Our spotter in the booth, Gary Lynn. Our statistician in the booth, Emmett McGuire. Fox Box run by Tom Yohe, and statistician in the control room is Mark Sosnick. O'Sullivan finds a man. That's Isaac Bruce up at the 42-yard line. It's incomplete. He dropped the football as he hit the ground. What a game as this went back and forth. The Eagles dominating early. The 49ers coming on late in the first half and in the third quarter to grab the 9-point lead. And then the Eagles, led by their defense, turning the game around, and a big game, a record-setting game for Donovan McNabb.
No, McNabb was terrific for the first 3 quarters of the game, and his numbers were outstanding. And you said it, the fourth quarter absolutely belonged to Philadelphia defensively, and they'll close the gap in the East with the Redskins losing today.
Dallas is down 24-21 with 25 seconds to go in their game in Arizona. The Giants, who are 4-0, play tomorrow night in Cleveland. Washington lost. They're 4-2. Dallas at 4-1, could be 4-2 in just a little bit. The Eagles have a bye week next week, and then we'll play in 2 weeks at home against the Atlanta Falcons. We'll see them then. So we are taking you to Arizona, where the Arizona Cardinals are playing the Dallas Cowboys. Let's join Dick Stockton and Troy Aikman.